Hi there, this is Kenny from LearnHowToProsper.com, and I shared a blog post just the other day on how to truly be free. And what I'll do is I'll sometimes just select a topic based on either it's a question that someone's posed to me, or sometimes it's just something that I feel within me that I want to share. And this was one of those that I just felt within me that I want to share because there's just nothing, I think, more fundamental to us as humans than wanting to be free, right? And there are a lot of things that can hold us down and I would say hold us back from being and experiencing true freedom. Now, there's a book that I want to recommend to you called Man's Search for Meaning. This is by Viktor Frankl, and it's his story that he shares about he and his family who are taken captive by the Nazis, and he spent a number of years in a concentration camp. And in his book Man's Search for Meaning, he talks about his experience there and how even in the worst of circumstances, no one could really take his freedom from him because they couldn't take what he chose to have in the theater of his mind. All this terrible atrocity could be happening around him, and he would apply and interpret it in ways that allowed him to serve, to even with all the savagery, he would reach out and provide compassion and care, and he found meaning even in that depths of suffering. So I love that book, and I think it really, in fact, I think I shared a quote from Victor. He says, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. I love that. It's so true. I mean, there's always something, a cause, and then there's an effect or a stimulus and a response. And the way that we choose to respond is really 100% up to us. We talk so much about things that encroach upon our freedom, and there are external factors and forces, no question. But I would say that no force is quite as intrusive or oppressive in our lives than the internal battle that we have within ourselves, within our own mind, within our own psychology. So I called out a number of different items here in this blog post that I think, and I've seen in my own experience, and sometimes even in my own life, where these things hold us back and they weigh us down from what I would determine or call true freedom. So addiction, I think, is a huge one. I worked at an inpatient center for troubled youth, and for a number of years, I guess it was a couple of years I spent working there in the chemical addiction wing. And I'll tell you, addiction is all encompassing. Talk about something that robs you of everything, your dignity and certainly your freedom, financial, emotional, everything is taken from you with different types of addictions. And there are many addictions today. I mean, whether it's food or different types of pills and prescriptions, pornography. I mean, there's just no end to the number of addictions. There's cultural and societal pressure. I mean, we do get caught up in what I call this societal pressure, or there's social proof, and we kind of look to others for approval and for acceptance. Not that that's always bad, but when that becomes larger than the understanding of our own purpose and meaning, then that takes over and it puts us in a box, right? We can't truly be free because we're so paralyzed by what other people think, right? And it's so important not to do that, to not be so caught up in, or at least have an awareness of the impact that what I call group dynamics have on us. There's this natural pressure that when you're in a group that everyone wants you to kind of line up. And one of the things to be aware of here is if you're with the wrong group, you're going to be lining up with the wrong stuff. So you want to make sure that you're around people that actually take you up a level, right? Bad habits. I mean, we are creatures of habit. Everything that we do is pretty much just a stack and layers of habits that we have, right? And when we build good habits and rituals into our lives, then that kind of takes over, and that in many ways can free us. Now, bad habits can do just the opposite and put us in a box that is very difficult to get out of. Fear is a big one, right? I mean, I can't think of anything more prevalent, and regardless of what endeavor you want to take on in life, there's always going to be this fear. I'm thinking about this blog. I've wanted to do a blog for years. I wanted to share different thoughts and ideas, and for a couple of reasons. I mean, I think there's some value in being accountable, to what you believe and kind of testing your ideas out there. And I love the dialogue that can come from it. And I also think that there's something about developing the skill of writing and sharing your thoughts, and that's why I do this both in video and in a blog form. But I think fear always gets in there. What will people think? What will people say? And there will always be haters and trolls. That's just a fact. There are going to be things that no matter what you do or say, people are going to hate it. And then people will love what you say and do based on how they resonate with your message. So I think fear is a big one that gets in the way. Dishonesty. And if you ever have told a lie, you got to tell 10,000 other lies and have the best memory in the world, right? Because you got to remember how all that fits together. It's just easier to tell the dang truth. That's just a fact. We have 4 daughters, and it's just interesting as they've grown up, and you can kind of see, and I remember this. It's like, you know what? I can kind of get out of this short term if I just tell a little white lie, but then longer term, it just compounds and compounds. Pretty soon, you've also put yourself in a box. Just better to be honest. Always be honest. There's nothing. Be transparent. Be straightforward. There's really nothing in that way that, I mean, I think often if we do lie, it's because it comes back to these other things. It's like fear of, rejection or not being accepted in some way. Who cares? People are going to think what they think, and that's just the way it always is. Hate will talk about an oppressive emotion that will absolutely bind you down. And it's interesting because I remember I had a coworker a few years ago, and I really disliked this guy, and I couldn't believe how much energy I was burning up on this. And I remember one night I was talking about it, and our 3rd daughter, Callie, said, "Well, Dad, have you ever thought about praying for this person?" And I just remember thinking, well, that's ridiculous. Why would I want to do that? I don't like this person. But I think she saw that it was weighing me down, that it was an oppressive factor in my life. And I did learn this, that when you pray for other people, it's pretty hard to dislike them after that, because you find yourself, I don't know, I was pulling for them. It's like, I recognized that they had challenges in their own life, and I found myself pulling for them. And it's just difficult to hate someone that you pray for. And if you don't believe in prayer, well, then at least meditate on their behalf, or think good thoughts, or send a good vibe their way, however you want to think about that. But those things can be powerful. And then grudges and unwillingness to forgive. I'll never forget this. I'm a twin. My twin brother and I have been best friends forever. And so I can't even imagine this, but we had a neighbor, and her sister were twins, and they had this some kind of, I think it was over a boyfriend actually, back when they were in high school. And they had this little falling out, and they hadn't talked to each other in like 25 years. You wouldn't believe the amount of energy and effort that they put into avoiding each other. And when one knew that the other was going to be there, they lived in the same hometown. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The kids wanted to see each other, and they didn't do it because they were going to hold this grudge. Like I'm right. Darn it, and they can come and beg my forgiveness. Well, I think this, like so many of these other points, keep us in prison. They just keep us down. They keep us weighed down. And I'm here to teach about how to prosper, in your health, wealth, and relationships in every part of your life. So I'm going to advocate wholeheartedly that in each one of these, you let them go. Just love people. I mean, there's something so freeing about that. You don't have to sit and carry a grudge. You don't have to think about how to get back at someone. You don't have to remember some lie you told. There's just something about really loving people. Now, loving some people is a little more difficult than others. I'm certainly going to acknowledge that. But I think, again, to prosper in your life, it's all about what you give, not what you take. So if you give love, that's what's going to come back to you. And that's what I'm going to share here as I sign off. And I hope that you will go and read this if you'd like on Learn How to Prosper. And I would say sign up for my newsletter, because I'll keep you posted on new blog posts, and you'll know about videos and things as they come out. So with that, I'll sign off. Have a great evening or day or morning. Goodbye.